we were talking before about King Asa in the first book of Kings, chapter 15, 16, 17, 18, but 15, 16 as I recall. And we were talking about King Asa, who is the king of Judah. Well, here we are. This we're going to talk about today, King Hezekiah. He was king some years after King Asa. There was 8 kings. Actually, I need to study this out, but there was 7 kings and 1 queen between Asa and Hezekiah. I don't know where the queen came in. I got to check that out. But there was 8 rulers between Asa and Hezekiah. Now we pick up in 2 Kings, Hezekiah's life and his leadership. Now this is going to tie everything that we've been talking about together. Last week we talked about the rich man that wouldn't give up his riches for God, wouldn't get saved, and all these things, they're going to tie in together. It's going to make sense. At least I hope it does. This is 2 Kings chapter 18. This starts out when Hezekiah came into leadership. He was 25 years old when he became king, which that was the average age. Between 25 and 35, they would step into their, I guess you would say, kingship, their leadership, their anointing, whatever you want to call it, their destiny, whatever. But he was 25. And this is where we start off in chapter 18. It starts talking about Hezekiah. Now it came to pass, this is verse 1 of chapter 18 of 2 Kings. Now it came to pass in the 3rd year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, king of Judah, began to reign. Now he had ties into David. It says that in verse 2, 25 years old was he when he began to reign. He reigned for 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah, and he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did. Now David, you know, they said that he was a man after God's own heart. God said that. And when you read this verse 3, he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. In every situation, he did that which was right, which blessed God. So he didn't take the easy route out, just like King Asa. King Asa, if you remember, threw his mother off the throne because she was queen. And when his father Joachim died and he took over, he threw his mother out. He said, you have these false idols and stuff. So just like Asa, Hezekiah believed in doing what was right before God. He didn't take the easy way out. And it says that he removed, this is verse 4, he removed the high places and broke the images and cut down the groves and break in the pieces the brazen serpent that Moses had made. For unto those days the children of Israel did but burn incense to it, and he called his name Nehushtan. Now just like what Asa did, he went in there and he tore down their false idols. He tore down the altars that they had built. Remember, Asa did that to his mother. She had a beautiful altar and he went and burned it all up, chopped all the bushes down, all the ornaments that she had to make it beautiful. He went and chopped it all down, burned it all up. Well, this is the same thing he did, because Moses had allowed them to do this, remembering back. Verse 5, he trusted in the Lord of Israel, so that after him was none like him among all the kings of Judah, nor any that were before him. So, the way that I look at that is Asa, he learned from Asa, because he wasn't alive when Asa was king, but he learned from probably all the stories and stuff. And it says that none of the kings before him were better, and none of the kings were after him were better. That Hezekiah was the greatest king in the land of Judah that they had. For he clave to the Lord and departed not from following him, but kept his commandments, which the Lord commanded Moses. So he didn't take the easy route. He didn't take the easy road. When it came down to it, he did everything that pleased God, everything that was obedient to the 10 commandments that Moses was given, and he followed the Lord in everything. Verse 7, and the Lord was with him, and he prospered whithersoever he went forth, and he rebelled against the king of Assyria and served him not. The king of Assyria said, you guys are going to serve me, kind of like Nebuchadnezzar did. He said, you guys are going to serve me, you're going to pay tribute to me, and you're going to follow me. And Hezekiah said, no, I'm not. I'm going to serve my God. And that's what he did. He remained faithful to God. And it says that he prospered in anything that he did because he remained faithful to God. So for the first point, I'm going to a little bit more out of this, and then we're going to jump ahead. But I'm just setting this up to tell you a little bit about this guy's character and about his life. But here, because he sought the Lord, because he was obedient to God, it said that he prospered whithersoever he went. Whatever he did, he was blessed. He prospered because his first focus, remember we talked about the rich man, his focus was not on God. His focus was, and he got blessed in everything that he did. Could you imagine that anything that you do being blessed? So many times I live by trial and error. It's like, Holy Spirit, okay, I'm going to do this and see how it turns out, because it's what I know to do and it's what I think is right. What I feel in my spirit is right, so I'm going to give it a shot. And just the thought that anything that he did, he was blessed. Verse 9, and it came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hoshea, son of Elah, king of Israel, that Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria and besieged it. Okay, I'm bringing this out because this is when he faced adversity. The king of Assyria came up against the Israelites, which he was the king of Judah, but he came up and seized the Israelites. And the Israelites, remember, had all these idols and stuff. And the Israelites, my gosh, they made more mistakes than any race of people alive that's ever been. They messed up and made mistakes. And it says that Hoshea was the king of Israel, and Samaria took Israel captive. And we all know Israel, this happened several times for them, that it was a constant thing. And they took the Israelites captive. In verse 10, at the end of 3 years they took it, and in the 6th year of Hezekiah, that is the 9th year of Hoshea, king of Israel, Samaria was taken. They were taken prisoner. They were taken slaves. They were overtaken and overrun by Assyria. Now I'm going somewhere with this. And the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria and put them in Halah, in Habor, in the river of Gozan, and in the city of the Medes. So he took them, the Israelites, and the way I look at it is like slaves. Some here, some here, some here, and just spread them out all over the whole land. And it says, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord their God, but transgressed his covenant and all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded, and they would not hear him and they would not do him. That is why Israel caved in again. The same thing that they keep doing. They don't listen. They do as they want. And it says here that God turned them over and let this happen to them because they wouldn't obey, because they were stiff-necked, they were proud, they wouldn't listen, they wouldn't do anything that God told them, or that the 10 commandments that Moses gave them. They wouldn't do it. They were off doing their own thing. So he said, okay, I'll turn you over to your devices. He said, here you go. And they became prisoners because it says that they wouldn't listen and they wouldn't do them. They wouldn't listen to the commandments. So what's the first thing that Hezekiah does. He's like, okay, we're going to take these Assyrians because we're next. Remember we talked about Israel being up here and the Great Sea being here, and Israel was the northern part and Judah was the southern part. They were right along that border of the Great Sea. So they knew if the Assyrians, which were up into the east, they knew if the Assyrians came down and took Judah, that they took Israel and they were coming south and Judah was next. So Hezekiah says, well, we're going to be ready for them. And this takes place that verse 14. And Hezekiah, king of the Judah, sent to the king of Assyria, to Lachish, saying, I have offended you. Return from me. That which thou puttest on me will I bear. He said, they're coming for me. He said, I've lived a blessed life. God's been protecting us, and I'm hearing that they're coming for us next. Well, maybe God's going to punish us like he did Israel. I don't know what I did, but he said, somehow, some way, I've offended the Assyrians, and they're coming after us. So the first thing he did is he repented. The first thing he did, he didn't say, well, I didn't do nothing. He didn't stand up proud or nothing. First thing he did is repented. Well, I must have done something to offend them. He repented right off the bat. That's the position of his heart. He didn't say, well, I'll take it. No. He said, well, I must have done something to offend them. And the king of Assyria appointed unto Hezekiah, king of Judah, 300 talents of silver and talents of gold. Hezekiah said, I don't care about the riches. Remember the guy we talked about last week? He said, Jesus, I can't give up my riches because they're too important to me, so I guess I just won't be saved. And he turned around, and the word says that he went away sorrowful. He went away sad because he wouldn't give up his riches. And check this out. Hezekiah gave him all the silver that was found in the house of the Lord and in the treasures of the king's house. Now listen to this. At that time did Hezekiah cut off the gold from the doors of the temple of the Lord. He found all the silver, all the gold he could get, and he's like, here, take it. That's a little different from the story we heard last week, where he was selfish and he wanted all his riches. Hezekiah didn't care about riches. He's like, oh, you want this? Here, you can have all the gold we find. And I'll tell you what, our door to the church has gold hinges. So he ripped the door off the church, took the gold hinges, and gave them to the king of Assyria. Here, this means nothing. Let my people go. Don't attack my people. Kill my people. Here, you can have all the gold. You can have all that stuff. That doesn't matter. What matters is the safety and protection of my people. So he says, let them go. And as you read on, Hezekiah, king of Judah, had overlaid and gave it all to the king of Assyria. That's gold hinges. Can you imagine taking the doors off the hinges and giving the hinges up? Everything that they had. Here, you want it, you can have it. Just leave us be. I don't care about the riches. I don't care about the gold. And that was just to show you a little bit of his character, a little bit of his life. Now we're going to jump to verse 22. Now this is verse 22. But if ye say unto me, we trust in the Lord our God, is not that he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah hath taken away, and hath said to Judah and Jerusalem, he shall worship before this altar in Jerusalem? Now what the king of Assyria is doing is he's trying to get people convinced that the God that Hezekiah is serving is a weak God, that he's not going to protect them, he's not going to stand up for them. So he's saying, is this not the God that Hezekiah talks about, the God that Hezekiah serves? And look at what we can do to you. He's telling them, he's not powerful, he's not that. Verse 23, now therefore I pray thee, give pledges to my lord and king of Assyria, and I will deliver thee 2,000 horses, if thou be able on thy part to set riders upon them. He's like, You start serving my God, and don't do this mess that Hezekiah is preaching. Don't do that. You start serving my God, we'll take care of you. We'll give you horses to ride instead of walking. We'll give you 200 horses. And he's trying to bribe them, is what he's trying to do, to get them to turn on Hezekiah. And he goes on in verse 26. Then said Eliakim, the son of Hezekiah, and Shebna, and Joah, and Rabashakeh, speak, I pray thee, to the servants in the Syrian language. He says, don't even speak Hebrew. Don't even speak the Judah, their language. Speak our language, so they'll be confused and won't even understand what we're talking about. So we can trick them, take advantage of them, and overcome them, because they'll have no idea what's coming, because they won't even understand our language. For we understand it, and talk not with us in the Jews' language in the ears of the people that are on the wall. But Rabashakeh said unto them, hath my master sent me to thy master, and to thee to speak these words? Hath he not sent me to the men which sit on the wall, and they may eat their own dung and drink their own pee with you? He's like, they're lowlifes. Has he not sent me to those people too? The ones on the wall? He sent me to you. Why would you turn and do that? Now this is the last part. Let not Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you out of his hand. Neither let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying, the Lord will surely deliver us, and this city shall not be delivered into the hands of the king of Assyria. He's like, listen to me. Don't listen to what he says. Is he coming to you and telling you? He's trying to put doubt in there. Is he coming to tell you that God's going to save you, that God's going to deliver you? No, that God ain't going to do that. Look at what's happening. He says, you shall surely not be delivered into the hand, that you shall be delivered to the king of Assyria. I will take you over. So him saying that God's going to deliver you, that ain't true. Okay, we're going to jump ahead to 19. I was setting that up because this is a little bit of Hezekiah's character. We have a few verses out of chapter 19 to show you about how different it is when we serve God, and how different it is when we take it serious, as to when we are selfish, and as to when we are doing our own thing. But it costs us something, y'all. It costs us something to serve God. Just like him. They were coming against him. They were lying against him. This king of Assyria was saying, don't believe what he says. He's saying God's going to deliver you. God ain't going to deliver you. We're going to take you prisoners, and you're going to be right on that wall with those other lowlifes. We're going to put you to work as slaves. Don't believe what he tells you. He was trying to get him to turn against him. And Hezekiah did not even flinch. Hezekiah says, okay. Now, starting at chapter 19. I want a few verses out of chapter 19 that we're going to discuss, and then we'll wrap it up here. This is verse 1 of chapter 19. And it came to pass, when King Hezekiah heard this, that he rent his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth and went into the house of the Lord. This is just after this happened with the Syrians, when they were trying to get the people to turn on Hezekiah. As soon as he heard about it, first thing he did is ran to church, ran into the house of the Lord. And he got these messages and stuff, and he took it right straight before God. God, what do I do? He didn't stand up and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. First thing he did is seek God. So when we get a bad report, when we get, well, we're going to talk about that coming up, but when things aren't the way that we want them, first thing we do, like we've talked about, is seek God. Yes. Because we don't understand everything, but he does. Mm-hmm. And some things we read into it that aren't even true. It's stuff that our mind has made up. Fears that we have. Our imagination has ran wild. And well, this is going to happen, then this. this and this, and then they're going to say this, and then I'm going to have a surgery, and then I'm going to get septic. I mean, it's just, our mind runs crazy. Our mind doesn't stop. So the first thing that we do is like Hezekiah. He ran straight to church. We can run straight to another person in here. Y'all go straight to one of us, to a family member, and say, hey, will you pray with me over this situation? It's kind of got me disturbed. I'm scared over it, and I need to pray. First thing we do, take it to God before we do anything. And he sent Eliakim, which was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests covered with sackcloth to Isaiah the prophet. Now at that time, Isaiah was a prophet, and we all know the book of Isaiah. It's 66, I think, chapter. And it's all about the coming of Jesus. He was prophesying Jesus. Well, here was when Isaiah, another story about Isaiah. They went and got Isaiah and said, okay, Isaiah, what say ye? You're the prophet. What do you say? He says, it may be the Lord, thy God, would hear all the words of Hezekiah, whom the king of Assyria had sent to reproach the living God, and reprove the words which the Lord thy God hath heard. Wherefore lift up thy prayer for the remnant that are left. They went and got Isaiah. And the first thing he said is pray. Pray. Don't give up. Verse 6, and Isaiah said to them, thus shall ye say to your master, thus saith the Lord. When you hear, thus saith the Lord, take note. Because if somebody says, thus saith the Lord, either they're talking junk or it's very serious. Because a lot of people hide behind, thus saith the Lord, because they can blame it on God when they're wrong. But in this case, Isaiah the prophet was proven time and time again as the prophet for the people. So when he says, thus saith the Lord, they listen. Be not afraid of the words which thou hast heard. Don't be afraid of talk. He's just talking junk. Don't be afraid of it. He says, with which the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. The Lord saying, he hasn't done anything against you. He's done it against me. They blasphemed me. They spoke against me, not you. You don't worry about it. I got this. He spoke against me, not you. And he shall hear a rumor and shall return to his own land, and I will cause him to fall by the sword of his own land. He says, King of Assyria is going to hear this. He's going to go back to his people, and he's going to get killed by his people because he's lied against God, he's lied against me, he's lied against you, and his own people aren't going to take this. And this is right here is the last part I want to share. Isaiah sent a letter to Hezekiah, and the messenger delivered the letter to Hezekiah. And the first thing that he did was he took it and he went right to church and he rolled the scrolls out and he says, God, right here. He laid it out before God and he prayed about it. Starting at starting at verse 14. And Hezekiah received the letter of the hand of the messenger and read it. He got a letter. Remember, they called Isaiah in the prophet. Well, Isaiah wrote down this letter. I'm shortening this up just so we don't have to read every bit of this. But Isaiah wrote a letter on scrolls to give to Hezekiah. And Hezekiah received it. The first thing he did is took it to the church, took it to the house of the Lord, opened it up, laid it before God, essentially laid himself down at the altar. And God, what about this? And Hezekiah went up into the house of the Lord and spread it before the Lord. And Hezekiah prayed before the Lord and said, O Lord God of Israel, which dwellest between the cherubims, thou art the God, even thou alone of all the kingdoms of the earth, thou hast made heaven and earth. He's saying, Lord, I understand who you are. You are the maker of heaven and earth. You are the God. You are the creator of everything. And he says, Lord, bow down thine ear and hear. Open, Lord, thine eyes and see, and hear the words of Sennacherib, which has sent him to reproach the living God. He's saying, hear what's going on. They sent word to reproach you, to blaspheme you. And he said, listen to my prayers. Look at this that they sent me. Look at this. Lord, I pray that you hear me, my prayers, and I pray that you read it and decipher what it says. Of the Lord, the kings of Assyria have destroyed the nations and their lands, and have cast their gods into the fire. For they were no gods, but the work of men's hands. He's saying, okay, look, God, this is what we did. We tore down all their gods, all their altars, all that fake junk, and got rid of it. And as it goes on, now therefore, O Lord, our God, I beseech thee, this is verse 19, save thou us out of his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art the Lord God, even thou only. He's saying, Lord, you're not going to allow this to happen, are you? I'm asking you, I'm praying that you save us and show them who's the real God and show them what's up. As we go into 20, this is going to wrap it up. This is going to wrap it up. The difference where Hezekiah became greater than Asa. This right here. This is something that we all face. Chapter 20, verse 1. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death. And the prophet Isaiah, the son of Amoz, came to him and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord. Isaiah is saying, Thus saith the Lord, Get thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Isaiah is saying, okay, God's saying you're sick, you're going to die. How many times have we thought that? We've all faced life or death situations. And when we get that report, it's not pretty. It's not fun. And Isaiah the prophet says, set your house in order, get your affairs straight, because it's time for you to die. And what does Hezekiah do? Then he turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord. Hezekiah didn't run and ask, Rick, what do you think? Do you believe that, Rick? Do I look okay? Do I look like I'm dying? Do I look like I'm about to go? Do I need to do this? He didn't do that at all. You know what he did? God! He went over here by himself, away from everybody. And it says that he put his face to the wall. He turned his back on everybody and everything. And he went directly to God. And he took it to God. So when we get that report, when things in our life aren't working right, we don't need to run and blab our business to everybody. We need to take it before God and him alone. Because if we are truly his children and we have that relationship with him, we should be able to take anything to him. And as this story turns out, I'm going to make it quick. I'm going to tell you the last part of it. Hezekiah gets that letter, and he reads it, takes it to God in prayer, and he turns, and he's praying, and Isaiah isn't even out of the city yet. God says, stop, Isaiah. Turn around and go tell him this. So Isaiah had delivered the bad news, and before he even gets his men together and leaves, God tells him, stop, Isaiah, go back and give him this message. Tell him that because of his prayers, because of his righteousness, I'm going to save him. He's not going to die, and I'm going to add 15 years onto his life. Go tell him that, and tell him why. So Isaiah sends his messengers to Hezekiah, and because the way he handled the situation, Asa, remember, when we were talking about Asa ran to the doctors and said, oh, you got to fix me. He didn't take it to God. Asa was scared. He freaked out and he ran to the doctors. And God said, okay, Asa, if that's what you want, let's just see what these doctors are going to do. So he took his hands off of Asa. In Hezekiah's case, Hezekiah went before God. So there's two contrasting situations. The furthest ends of the spectrum. Hezekiah took it straight before God. And God said, well, guess what, Hezekiah? Now you're not going to die. I'm adding 15 more years onto your life. And there's some more stuff about Isaiah, how he backed time up and the sun was here and the sun went back so many degrees. And there's a big part to that, but that is the main thing to wrap this up, is that in that situation, it's hard, y'all. I know some of you are new faces. I've faced life or death. I have. So I've got those bad reports, and I've had to take it before God in tears and sadness and whatever. He says, Hezekiah, God saw your tears. God heard your cries. And because you took it before him, he's going to add 15 years onto your life. Hezekiah went before God. He didn't go there in all confidence and all faith. It says that he was crying and weeping and sad before God. God, I'm not ready to die yet. Can't you, God? And he took it straight before the Lord. So that's what I want to finish it up with. In that situation, when we get that report or we get things aren't going the way that we think they should, we don't have to run and ask other people. Take it to God. Hezekiah kind of wraps all this together, because Hezekiah got 15 years added on to his life because he handled it the right way. Asa died within days. God said, remember, Asa had rheumatoid arthritis and had bad circulation. Well, Hezekiah was dying from boils. He had boils with, I'm sorry if it grosses you out, but he had pus seeping out of him and stuff. And these boils were infected, kind of like a leper. And he was dying from it. And God, just like that, gone. Just gone. He's like, oh my gosh, what is going on? It was just gone. God added 15 years to his life. So think about that when we get that report or we feel sick or something happens. Take it to God first and see what he has to say before we seek other counsel.